Okay, and we're back out here in my backyard this evening, getting ready for some imaging setup using my new Asiair Plus. ZWO has sent me this unit to review, as I stated in my unboxing video. I was one of approximately 500 folks from all over the world that was able to get an early release on this new flagship Wi-Fi controller. In return, we were asked to make and submit reviews of their newest product, good or bad. I already own the Asiair Pro, and I'm looking forward to checking out the new improvements that ZWO has made to this unit. So let's get started. I'm not sure what target I'm going to image tonight, so I'm just going to wing it. What I'm going to do is show you my setup with the Asiair Plus, what I'm plugging into to be controlled by the app. We'll do a polar alignment, pick a target, set up guiding, and set up a quick imaging session and look over what the app looks like. Tonight I'll be using my Red Cat 51 telescope with ZWO's ASI 294 MC Pro cooled colored camera. Attached is my ZWO 5-position 2-inch electronic filter wheel. Riding on top of that is my ZWO 120mm guide scope with ZWO's guide camera, the 120mm. I also have ZWO's electronic focuser mounted into the Pro Astro Gear Black Cat mount. This mount holds the focuser, the Red Cat handle that holds the guide scope, and mounts the Asiair all at once. It's a nice, cool little setup. The mount I use is the Skywatcher EQ6R Pro. Using the USB plug on the side of the mount, it will be connected to the Asiair, and there'll be no need for the hand controller anymore. Ditch that thing. I chose not to use ZWO supplied cables for the cameras and other devices, only because they are so long and bundling them all up just makes a rat's nest of a crappy cable management on my part. So I ordered shorter USB cables, which makes everything a little bit neater. Okay guys, we're going to start our night's imaging session. Again, this is a full session, so it'll be a long video. But if you could stay to the end, you'll see the image from tonight's setup. Thanks. So let's turn them on. All right, power light comes on, the system light comes on. And it just flashes a little bit. I'm going to turn my tablet on now. All right, sounds like we got it. I can already hear the fan for the camera is on. So I'm just going to make sure that the Wi-Fi is active. And it looks like it is connected to the Wi-Fi. All right. We're going to boot up the Asiair Pro's app. And here we go. We're connected to it. I have the latest firmware, which is looks like application 1.7 or 8.48. Main guide scope is a 250mm, which is my Red Cat 51. 120mm for the guide scope. My main camera is the 294 MC Pro, and in here you can click some buttons and change it to whatever you want at this point. Same with the guide camera. So we're going to enter and go into the window here, and there we are. Oh, and I forgot to turn my mount on. I hope that doesn't mess anything up. I'm going to turn the mount on now. See if it'll see if it auto connects to it. It sees it, which I have a feeling it was supposed to be on when I first started it. Nope, I can just turn it on right now. There we go. It's on. Synced. So again, I have the Skywatcher EQ6R Pro. Apparently from what I've seen in the past on a lot of the forums and Facebook pages is that there's a lot of folks having issues with these, even though it's the new one that has the USB plug in it. I guess there was a chipset or something in it that wasn't allowing the mount to be controlled by the Plus or the Pro. I'm fortunate enough where my mount didn't have that problem. It connects to it with without an issue. Basically, I just chose the EQ mod mount and then set the baud rate at 115,200. So this is the app layout here. I do have an electronic focuser in which I could focus it back and forth if I want and do an autofocus routine. Move that out of the way, and you can set it for a fast speed or a slow speed. So we're just going to turn that off for now. I'm going to move my guiding window over here. So first off, here we can check the power settings. We can turn on and off different 12-volt plugs. If I decide to turn on this one, it'll turn on and then show me a voltage monitor, give me a value. So I just turn it off. I just use two of them. The first two I use, one is for my main camera and the other is for my dew heater, which I believe I have set at about 70%. Some of the new pluses were making a slight hum or a sound. I think some of them still do. I'm not even sure if this one does. Yes, this one does make a small buzzing sound. Let's see if I can get the microphone close enough so you can hear it. Which, from what I'm hearing, that in one of the next firmware updates that might be eliminated. I'm not sure. Next, we have our guide camera. It's the ASI 120mm Mini. Focal length, the guide scope is 120 millimeters. I set the gain at 65 for right now. There is a window here for setting dithering settings, which I turn that on. The filter wheel, I have a few filters in there, and one is a dark filter too. I have the Asiair Pro and the Asiair Enhance, which in here I can move them however I want. Under filter settings, you can set each one of these to your RGB, L, and sulfur and hydrogen alpha. The only thing I wish that it did have is if, let's say, you didn't run all those types of filters. So for me, my number 5 position is the dark filter. So if I wanted to do dark frames, I don't have to worry about putting the cap on. It just switches to that dark filter, and I have it in my session, and it'll do my dark frames as well, and I don't have to be around it at all. The next icon is the electronic focuser. You can have it set to do autofocus every hour, every filter change, before the start of each object, after a meridian flip. So it's really cool. The next one you see, it looks like, I'm just going to move this over to the side. The next one looks like a little USB stick. That one you can switch back and forth to the eMMC, which is the internal storage, or you just, switch it to the USB stick, which is, like I said previously, that's what I'm using, or you can put in an SD, micro SD card in there. Under image management, you can see that you have folders, so you can just look through those as it's imaging. Next one is just the about. This is where you can submit your feedback. You can update a log, what the dream partners are, which basically this screen here is what the card should have looked like if I had gotten one in the box when I got the Plus. But mine did not come with it. That's okay. I have a digital version of it. It's all good. Experimental feature. Not sure what that is. You can reset the firmware, your service agreements, blah, 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 blah. So let's do a quick image. Again, I also know, the transfer speed on this is pretty quick. That's much faster than the Pro, that's for sure. Oh yeah, so we're definitely out of focus. So I can put a batten-off mask on, which the Red Cat 51 has one built into the cover. So we'll we'll slide that on without knocking everything over. Now you could do a focus routine. In here there is a thing that you can use for doing your focus. Basically you just start it and then move your square. And there it is. So it just keeps looping. So to keep looping, I'll turn on my focuser and make some adjustments. See if that changes at all. I think one more adjustment and look at that. That looks pretty good. So let's stop that. So the other way that I would do it is I would do it under preview, do a 5-second exposure. Pretty much the same thing. It would just end up showing me the stars. I think it's just a little nicer, but I can zoom right in on that. And what's nice is I can just leave it like that and just keep hitting the button to do another exposure, and it would just stay there, and I can adjust my focus at that point. So with that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take off that cover. Let's see, I'm going to go into our guiding here. And I'm going to just let this thing do some loopies. Wow, not too bad. It's looking pretty good. I'm just going to set this down here. We're looking right at Polaris. I roughly polar aligned earlier. Now we're going to go in and we're going to do a polar alignment. So this is nice. This controls the Asiair. The Asiair will control the mount and move it to where we need it. And so let's give it a shot. So right now it's going to take an image. Plate solving took 2 seconds. As you can see, the mount's moving. It's going to move. It's going to take another image and plate solve. Okay. Nice, detected 1,514 stars calculated. Let's go. Wow, we're pretty close already, kind of. So we're 2 minute arc second, 2 minute out. Let's see, I put it on auto, so it just keeps running, so I can just keep making my adjustments. So I have a small foam pad here that I just put down on the ground. I have a nice tripod spreader that I made, and I just rest my tablet on that. So let's get down. So this way I can start making adjustments. All right, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to say 19 arc seconds. Oh, 17 arc seconds. It's close enough. So I'm going to hit finish. It's going to say I took forever. Sometimes it insults you. Oh, good, like riding a bicycle, a bit slow. That's nice. All right. Let's get off my knees again. All right, like I said, I don't have a real target in mind to image. So we're going to back out of this. I'm going to go back into preview. It's still showing the same screen from before. So if I decide to shoot a nebula at this point, I'm going to have to change filters, and then I'm going to have to refocus again. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the mount, and I'm going to say go to home position. So this way it goes back to like a 0 location at the very beginning. I haven't done it before, but I was told that if you don't bring this back to this home position, that when it tries to slew the next target, it's taking its calculation from the last position that it's been sitting at. So. Okay. So there we are. So in this window here that keeps going back and forth, see it says target. So I'm just going to click that spot. And what it does is right now is it says what's tonight's best. And this is cool because I can just scroll through this whole list. It just goes on and on and on. So it gives you, an idea of what's in the sky that's visible to where you are. You hit the three bars to the right. We're going to call that the hamburger. And it gives us tonight's best, your favorites, names, stars, suns, planets, comets, whatever. I'm going to click comets, see what it says. Oh, I guess you can still see Hale-Bopp. With the hamburger again, you can go into Messier objects. All right, well right now, NG 7000, I believe that's the North American Nebula. That looks like that might be a good one to take a look at. So I think what I'm going to do is, since we're looking right at Polaris right now, I am going to change filters, and then we're going to refocus before we go over that way. But the one thing that I forgot to do, I think, is turn my cooling on my camera. That's a no-no. So right now it's on. I have it set to -10 Celsius. So while that's running, I'll do a quick preview here. We'll do 5 seconds. So just so we don't see the, there we go. So there's Polaris right now, and there's a little bit of a tree limb. So I'm cutting it close where my location is. So I know that my filter number 2 is my L-Enhance filter. So I'm going to change that, and it's in that position right now. So if I do an image now, this image will come up a little bit darker now. I'm gonna sit back down in my chair, and now we're gonna go back to this window over here, and we're gonna go to target. We're gonna go to the North American Nebula, and if you touch on the left side of it, it'll give you a picture, kind of give you what the popular name is, right ascension, declination, location, yada, 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 a little bit of info. But if you touch this graph off to the right here, then a little icon on the bottom right shows up, and that is a go-to feature. As soon as I push that button, now our mount is moving wow, that thing's like way up there. We're going to be doing a meridian flip, it looks like, in about 10 minutes. All right, so mount slews to the target position, validating center or not, solving, auto recentering here, attempting again. So this is nice. It's doing plate solving. It's making sure that it's eyeballing the target correctly. Found it. So it's going to do an image. We don't see much of anything. So under this preview, I'm going to turn the autofocuser off. Under the exposure, we're going to do 120-second exposure and see what's there. All right. Well, look at that. There she is. It's up a little high. we are going to start our guiding. I'm going to go into here, make sure our calibration data is clear. I'm going to start with the guiding here. I'm actually going to go and turn this gain down a little bit. See what it looks like there. Just didn't want them too bright. So if we hit the crosshair icon, which is on the right above the stop sign, that should trigger multi-star guiding. But it doesn't look like it is. All right, well, while it's doing that, we're going to bounce out. Close that. We're going to go into preview. We're going to go into auto run. And under the 3 tabs here, this is nice. You can turn down, let's see, it already has a target name, NGC 7000. So if I click on the box that says light, I can start my editing sequence. We're on filter number 2. We're going to do 300-second exposures, and we're going to do 20 shots of that. Okay? So I'm going to click OK. After that, I can come over here and hit the plus button, and I want to do dark frames. We're going to do the same amount of exposures. We're going to make sure that's, we're going to make sure that that's on our filter number 5, which is a dark filter. And I think I'm only going to do maybe 10 of those for tonight. Hit OK. So you could just keep setting up these sequences, this shooting schedule here. It'll run through all of them. You just keep adding to it. It's asking if you want to do the meridian flip here, so I can turn that on. The little question mark next to it just tells you what it means. You can have it so it shuts down the Asiair and go to the home position, you know, when it's done with this whole sequence, which I could probably do that. I might just say, just go to home position, I'm going to shut it down. All right, so far it's saying down on the bottom there that this is an estimated time of 2 hours, 30 minutes. And it's only going to take up about 670 megabytes. So we're going to back out of that. So our auto run is all set. So basically I just got to hit the start and let it go, but we are waiting for calibration. Those numbers are high for my guiding. Not sure why. All right, well, so anyways, we're guiding. We'll just go with those numbers for right now. In our auto run sequence, if we just hit the start, you know what? Let's go back into this, and I'm not gonna let it go back to the home position. I'll just let it stop wherever it's at and stay there. All right, wow, okay. Those numbers are much better for our guiding, and it's only doing a single star. I still don't understand why it's not doing multi-star guiding. Anyways, okay, so let's go back to auto run, and if I hit the this big white button on the right, it's doing it. So in just under 300 seconds, we'll get an image. So we'll be right back. We'll let this fast forward through. Less than 5 seconds to go, and our first image should be coming up. There we are. Not too bad. Looks like I may have to move it just a little bit. But for a first image tonight, I think that looks pretty damn good. That looks pretty good. See those dust clouds in that? That's just amazing. The guiding looks awesome as well, so I'm very happy with that. All right, here we're coming up on 10 seconds now. This will be our second image that's coming through, 5-minute exposure. We've got some pretty good guiding going on. And now it's going to be, I'm amazed, that's pretty quick how fast it loads that photo. Look at that, that looks just, that's just amazing. So the other thing that's nice here is we have this this histogram here that comes up. On the lower right hand side you can see a little plus sign. If I push that, it brings it closer, and we can do like an auto stretch. We just drag this over a little bit. Drag this one in just a smidge. So that's kind of cool. I am just blown away that you can see those dust clouds like that on an image. That's just crazy. All right, so that's our first session that we've done with the new Asiair Plus, and everything went pretty smoothly. Everything runs pretty much exactly how the Pro does. So if you own the Pro, this is exactly the same, with the exception of the transfer speed's a little faster. You have the hard memory in there. Again, you can also you can put it in an SD card as well if you wanted to do that. And with the hard memory, you can hook it up to your computer using the USB-C cable and transfer it off the Asiair Plus directly. But again, you got to have a power source. That thing's got to be powered on in order to do that. So everything works pretty good. Maybe it's at a future date I'll do a video on doing planetary, maybe doing the video and stuff of the moon. I have never done that, so I don't know. I have watched some videos and some instructions on how to, so it'll be something cool to learn. And the other thing is the Wi-Fi signal. Some people were having issues with it already. I have to say I am not getting the 20 meters that ZWO is stating. I walk away from this thing about a good 20 feet and I'll lose signal. So I don't know if it's just the position of the antenna, which I try to keep it as vertical as possible, or if it's too close to my imaging train and I have to put the Asiair in a different position on the mount. Maybe that'll help me get some. But again, when I image, I'm usually next to my stuff here or within 20 feet, so I'm not too worried about it. So, alrighty, with that, I'm going to hit the auto on this again, and it's just going to show the image as far as what we're getting. So with that, we're just going to let this run for the night, or for the next little bit of time here, and we'll post up the image that we ended up getting from tonight's shoot. So with that, I say, hey, clear skies, thanks for hanging out with me and going over this first evening session. And until next time, you guys have a good night. Clear skies. Okay, looks like multi-star guiding does work. I might have touched the screen beforehand, but multi-star guiding does work. I did previously say that it wasn't, but it definitely is. So that was a mistake on my part. Man, that's a long video.